Chapter 2 Remix is here, and I think this past week has made me realize just how much I love the Chapter 2 map. And because of that, I'm going to be ranking Chapter 2 POIs from worst to first. So to kind of set the stage for this video, number 1, I'll only be ranking POIs strictly from Seasons 1 and 2 of Chapter 2, since that's kind of what Remix is. But if this video does very well, I'll consider continuing this series with all of Chapter 2's POIs. Number 2, in the interest of time, I'm only going to be ranking POIs that were introduced in Chapter 2. So Pleasant Park, Salty Springs, Retail Row will not be ranked in this video. Before we get into it, just want to say, be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new to this channel. I make videos like this all the time, pretty much every week, so definitely subscribe. Be sure to turn on the bell icon so that you're notified when I'm live, because I do go live a lot. Be sure to join the Discord, link is in the top of the description. Just be sure to use code Brivy in the item shop when you're purchasing absolutely anything. Anyways, I love you, enjoy this video. So my criteria for ranking these POIs is 1, amount of loot, 2, theme, 3, aesthetic, and 4, would I land there? Starting with the worst POI that I believe to be on the map, we got Dirty Docks. I'm just going to say this. I don't think any POI on the early Chapter 2 map was bad. With that being said though, I think Dirty Docks is probably the weakest. I actually like the theme, however the aesthetic is not the best. It's literally just like a shipping container scrapyard. There isn't much diversity here either. Every building feels kind of the same, which makes looting there not very interesting at all. Which brings me to loot. You can get a lot of metal at Dirty Docks, which is actually very valuable, but there's a better POI, just a zip line right away, that you can also get a bunch of metal from. There's actually a decent amount of chest and floor spawns here, so there's a good amount of loot for the 2 people that land here. And as far as if I would land at Dirty Docks, not really. But overall, not a bad POI. I just really wouldn't consider it that good either. And at number 14, we've got the rig. I actually really like the theme and aesthetic of the rig. It's really creative and innovative for a POI, but it's just kind of ruined by a couple things. Location. There is absolutely nothing in that bottom left corner of the map, so there's just no reason for me to go there, ever. Because I don't really like using the boom bow. I think it's a cool idea. I think it's a cool, innovative theme for a POI. It's just kind of ruined because I don't like the mythic, and it's just way in the bottom left corner. So that's why it's so low on my list. Number 13, we got Weeping Woods. It pains me to do this because I really like Weeping Woods, but it doesn't really stack up against these other POIs. It's also not super original because we had Wailing Woods in Chapter 1, but Weeping Woods is way better. Don't get it twisted. It's kind of a mix between Wailing Woods and Lonely Lodge. It's got the tower, like at Lonely Lodge. It's got a couple cabins, like in Wailing Woods. And it's got some new stuff, too, like the river running through it and the bridge over the water. Also, that little secret area in the one cabin on the left side is super cool. That bookshelf door that rotates all the way around lives rent-free in my head. Overall, I like Weeping Woods a lot. It lacks the creativity and the loot that all these other POIs have. Number 12, we got Frenzy Farm. Frenzy Farm is very similar to my opinion about Weeping Woods. It's cool. It's the best variation of the farm POIs to me, but it's not as original as everything else on this list. The only reason Frenzy Farm beats out Weeping Woods is the aesthetic. I like the yellowish farm biome look better than Weeping Woods, but I mean, to be honest, it could go either way. I like both of them. They both have a pretty moderate amount of loot, and their aesthetics are both very good, but I think I'd land at Frenzy Farm before I'd land at Weeping Woods, just because it's closer to a lot of the places that I like. So that's why it's just a little bit higher for me. Number 11, we got the Agency. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like the Agency, clearly, because it's at number 11. It is very fortunate that the Agency is at the center of the map, because it would be dead last to me otherwise. I despise how it has no aesthetic at all. It is a white building on an island. It is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool POI. There's just no aesthetic at all. I think that's the reason I like the Dog Pound so much. It gives the Agency that character and aesthetic that I've always wanted for it. Now, with that being said, the Agency is a cool POI. It is. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that it's not. The vents that go all around the bottom part of it, the helipad, the little underground rooms. It captures a secret Agency pretty well, but I'm not gonna lie, I never landed Agency when it was in the game, and I still haven't landed a Dog Pound yet, I don't think. I've gone there because it's center of the map, but I've never chose to land there. Number 10, we got Craggy Cliffs. I love the vibe of Craggy Cliffs. It feels like a small town you drive through in like New Hampshire. It's got a nice northeastern coastal feel to it. It's super cozy, and it's got a fish sticks restaurant. What a POI. I mean, that alone carries the POI to number 11 on my list. On the contrary, it's a little small, there's not a ton of loot, and there's not much going on up in that north central part of the map, but Pleasant's right around the corner. I really enjoy landing at Craggy Cliffs, so it's pretty high up on my list. Number 9, the Yacht. This is another case of the location kind of ruining the place. The Yacht would be way higher if it wasn't in the tippy corner of the map. I love the idea, the aesthetic. There's a decent amount of loot. It sucks because it's in that upper right corner. There's just nothing there. I like the layout of it specifically. I like how the middle's like open and the front part of it's outside. I like it. And I liked all the Deadpool vandalism that was on it when he came into the game. Not to mention, you could get the mythic POI rifle early in the season, which to me is one of the more underrated mythic weapons. This is a good POI. Don't let the placement fool you. It'd be a lot better if it was in a better location. Number 8, we got Slurpee Swamp. This is a fantastic POI. I honestly don't think the swamp vibe fits the game super well, but Slurpee Swamp works. It does. Aesthetically, it's pleasing to look at with the bright blue splotches of water in contrast to the very brown and dull swamp. It's great for loot because you get max guaranteed shield from all the slurp barrels and the little fountains of youth. It's a pretty big POI, as well as like all the areas around the POI. There are little shacks and other things all around the swamp if you need to land more low-key. Now, I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. The only complaint I have is the location, just in that bottom left corner. It's got action, it's got loot, it's got a decent aesthetic, it's pretty creative. It's just way down in that bottom left corner, and there's just nothing there. Number 7, we got Lazy Lake. This is another fantastic POI. It's got a great tilted towers kind of a vibe. It's big, it's got houses, buildings, a gas station, a hunting shop. It's super diverse. Usually there's a lot of people there, and there's plenty of loot for everyone. My only complaint is that it's not super original, just because it kind of just feels like Tilted Tower's cousin. But I don't mind that at all. I land here a lot, and I think it's one of the better POIs ever, if I'm being honest. Number 6, we got Misty Meadows. It breaks my heart having to put Misty Meadows this low on the list, but it must be done. I'm gonna say it. Misty Meadows has the best aesthetic of any POI in Fortnite history. It's so cool looking, it's colorful, it's cozy, the architecture's cool, and it's not so big to the point that you can't enjoy the little details. It's still decently sized though. I think it could support like 3 full squads and have enough loot for everyone, but there's never more than like 5 people that land there. That's kind of why I like it. It's very quiet there. It's in like the lower central part of the map, so it's quiet, but Lazy Lake is right across the pond. Literally. So if you want action, then just go there. Misty Meadows is just goated. One of the most underrated POIs of all time. It deserves its spot on the list. Number 5, we got the Shark. A lot of you will be pretty surprised to see the Shark this early on in the video. And it's fair, because it's a very good POI. Creativity, aesthetic, coolness factor, vibe, all elite components for the Shark. It's an island shaped like a shark. That's freaking awesome. Not to mention the best mythic weapons of Chapter 2 Season 2 is there. Scar the Grappler. That just brought so much traffic there. I think that kind of carries it a little bit, because other than the outside, it's a pretty bland POI, I'm not gonna lie. I liked when they turned it into a prison. For the 3 people that remember that, as well as me, they turned it into a prison for like a week, and I thought that was cool. Besides that though, there's not too much to say about the interior. It reminds me of like a really big waterside modern mansion, where it's like super cool, but there's not a lot of character to it. Like there's no decor or anything. I mean, it's cool, but it's just, there's not a lot of thought and feeling behind it. The Shark is a great POI though. Don't get it twisted. It's fantastic, and it deserves a number 5 spot. Number 4, the Grotto. Yes, the Grotto is what I believe to be the best mythic POI of Chapter 2. Well, early Chapter 2. The Grotto is so cool, man. It's a cave shaped like a skull, now with a restaurant inside it. Nah, but for real, the Grotto is really cool. There's multiple points of access despite it being a cave. It's really easy to navigate because it's not super big. It's got the minigun, it's right next to retail. There's really no flaws with the Grotto other than the amount of loot. That's the only complaint I can think of. Well, also fighting there can be kind of awkward, but I kind of like it. It's really interesting trying to fight at the Grotto. Other than that, it's pretty much a perfect POI. Number 3, we got Steamy Stacks. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough for me to decide between these last 3 POIs because I love them all so much, like my own children. Steamy Stacks has to take 3rd though. as much as it pains me. Steamy Stacks, I think, has the most unique and cool theme of any POI ever, and I don't say that lightly. It's like an energy plant that relates to the cube in some way, so like it actually had a contribution to the storyline, which is awesome. There's never been another POI like Steamy Stacks, so it's kind of objectively the most original and creative POI of all time. It's also one of the best competitive drop spots of all time. You can get a bunch of metal, you can get a bunch of loot from fighting the people that go to the yacht, you can camp them in the shipping container, and there's free mobility with the chimneys, which are also super cool, by the way. Not to mention, the aesthetic is great, with all the purple liquid all over the place, because purple is objectively a fantastic color. Nah, but for real, Steamy Stacks was so cool. It felt like a big laboratory complex in a way. It's so hard for me to describe how much I love Steamy Stacks, so I'm just gonna move on before I write a whole essay. Number 2, we got Holly Hedges, my Pookie Bear. Holly Hedges at number 2. I really wanted to put it at 1, but I don't think I can. The only reason is because it's not super original. There are a lot and have been a lot of residential POIs, so I don't think I can put it at number 1. Holly Hedges checks all the other boxes though. Diversity, vibe, aesthetic, loot, location, it's got it all. It's kind of like if Salty Springs, Retail Row, and Greasy Grove all had a baby and gave birth to a POI. And those are 3 of the arguably best POIs of all time. Holly Hedges is just, it's my baby girl. I love it so much. I land here more often than any other POI, and I'm so glad it's back. It is my go-to spot, and it's just so cool. Enough said. And number 1, Sweaty Sands. The number 1 POI on the Chapter 2 map, according to my personal opinion, is Sweaty Sands. I don't land here enough. I need to land here more. I debated this for a long time, I'm not gonna lie, but I think this is the right decision. I think it's number 1. It's super unique because we'd never really had a beach POI up until this point. I really thought we did. I was like, Sweaty Sands isn't really that original, but I thought about it, I was like, we've never had a beach POI up until that point. It's got a bunch of different areas and things. It's got a bunch of loot. It has a fantastic aesthetic. It's just all around goated. It's got a big hotel like Paradise Palms. It's got condos. It's got an ice cream shop at the end of a boardwalk, a gas station, an RV park, a beach, even a skate park. They cooked really hard with Sweaty Sands. If I could live in a place half as good as Sweaty Sands, I would say yes. And also, it's close to a lot of different places, and it's usually got some action with not too many people landing there usually. It's really creative, and it's got a fantastic vibe. It's a beach. It is a goated POI. I need to land there more, to be honest, and I'm glad I get the opportunity to. Other than that though, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I really like making this video. It was really fun, so let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I missed out on. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Drop it in the comments below. Anyways, just be sure to subscribe if you like this kind of content. Like this video. Just be sure to turn on the bell icon, join the Discord, use code Brivy in the item shop if you're purchasing absolutely anything. And anyways, thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys have been amazing. We're almost at 6K now, which is insane. So thank you guys so much for that. Anyways, I love you. I'll see you in the next one.